All right, welcome back to the Dish and Swish podcast. I'm Amadeus Peterson here with Trevor Trost, and we're back after a little bit of a hiatus. We got soon to be Papa Trost dealing with some stuff, and I was in Mexico. We're all over.
How's the Spanish? Is it still rolling?
We, we're all good. We're all good. We were talking to the taxista. We're chopping it up, talking about everything. So we still got it. We still got the
I,
Spanish in there.
yeah, I apologize to all the listeners. I'm on the road to becoming a dad here, so sorry for the miscue of this week. But we're back. We're gonna keep rolling. A lot of NBA news still throughout the weeks. It just seems like every week there's just more and more we can talk about. We can just pile on. There's some big things to talk about. But yeah, we had some all-star voting returns, but before that, we're gonna get to some more even recent news. What did you think about the Toronto Raptors versus the Los Angeles Lakers coach after the game last night? He had some choice words for the officials.
Yeah, I guess he came out and he was irate about the refing, especially in the fourth quarter. If you didn't watch the game, the Lakers won the game 132 to 131 in regulation, and the Lakers shot 23 free throws in the fourth quarter, compared to the Toronto Raptors two. And so he was pretty mad about it. I think it was blown out of proportion because at the very end of the game, AD shot like 10 free throws in a row at the very end of the game because they were just fouling. And so I think it was blown out of proportion. And I don't know. I think he was, probably just frustrated in the moment like any coach would be after losing a game by one, but
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Those are my thoughts.
Do we think that the Lakers get preferential treatment at all?
Sorry, I missed that.
I know. I was just saying, do we think the Lakers get any preferential treatment at all?
Um I think last year, I think it was maybe a little bit. I think the Lakers led the league in free throws last year, and I think right now they're middle of the pack. I don't think it's anything crazy. And I think the Lakers really just play in the paint. They don't have as many shooters as other teams, and so I think just because of that, you just automatically get more foul calls than other teams. So I don't think it's crazy, but yeah, definitely in this game, it didn't look good.
Well, there's going to be a hefty fine because the coach did not hold back his
No.
words about the refs. And you can't blatantly call him out like that and say or imply that they were throwing the game, such as they did when he said that if they were just going to give him the game, let us know, and we wouldn't have even shown up. That's a pretty crazy statement for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, that was our more recent news. On to the
Yeah.
All-Star voting returns. What do you think? Who are the snubs? Who are missed out? We kind of got the first returns back. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's your typical candidates who are leading the race. You have Giannis and LeBron who are leading the East and the West respectively with over 2 million votes each. Um, and then yeah, I think in the snubs department, I think an obvious one is Devin Booker. Devin Booker didn't get an All Star nod from the fans. Desmond Bain, I think, is having a quietly really good season for the Memphis Grizzlies. Julius Randle, he had a pretty bad start, but he's been playing really well recently, and I think he's getting snubbed. Our boy Lauri Markkanen not on the list, and Pascal Siakam has also had a really good season for the Toronto Raptors and didn't make the cut. So I think those are a handful of players that I think maybe could be on there. I think there's a few
Yeah.
players like, I don't know, if you see like Kyle Kuzma on there or Mikal Bridges. Um, I don't love that, or like I love Los Angeles, but I don't think Austin Reeves or Klay Thompson should be over Devin Booker. Like I think that's pretty ridiculous, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
the California bias that you get in the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that is like very deserved. on these lists. I think that a lot of these guys belong. I just think it's hard when you look at guys like you said, Austin Reeves, Klay Thompson. Ja Morant obviously won't be on there because, you know, it's his injury. He's out for the year, which is kind of big news too. But I like you said, in Kyle Kuzma, I don't know. Drew Holiday, LaMelo, Jalen Brunson. I don't know. Derek White. It's just, yeah. Devin Booker is better than a lot of those guys that I just named, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So. And Lauri Markkanen, one of the hottest teams in the NBA, the Utah Jazz, won 11 of their last 15, are on track to win again tonight. So we'll see how that ends. But yeah, we'll see what happens on the All-Star voting front. Still a lot more to come. We have a kind of a long way still to go. Ja Morant, season-ending shoulder injury. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's I mean, talk about giving a team so much hope coming back, and then just all of a sudden having a season-ending injury, and just all that hope's gone from Memphis. But I guess looking forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, what's the best approach for this team going forward?
You need to limit your guys. I think they know that they're not going to make the playoffs, and so I don't think put any of your guys in position to get hurt and try to build for the future. I don't mean that as in like sit your guys, but I mean if you're in a blowout one way or the other, I mean let's probably not leave Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson Jr. in the game. Those are the building blocks of your future. So I would just stay. And also, it's a good time to get your young guys a lot of reps, right? Because you kind of already know that you're probably not going to make the playoffs. So getting those young guys and a lot of repetition so that when Ja Morant is back next year, those young guys have a lot of experience under their belt. Moving forward, I think it's just about putting themselves in a position to win next year. They can try to push, I guess, for the playoffs this year, but I think they're better off trying to build a team, whether it's through trade or free agency next off season. But I think that they won't be in a bad spot because they have the pieces. It's just how they put those pieces together in the coming year. So that hurts for everyone. Like you said, it was a tough one, but I think that they were kind of already on the cusp of maybe not making the playoffs anyway. So, but yeah, let's get to our recap of our game of the week. It was a good one. We couldn't have chosen a better game of the week. For those of you who tuned in, the Nuggets and the Warriors, Denver 130, Golden State 127. What did we see?
Yeah, I was literally on the plane back from I was in New Orleans and flying back to Utah, and I had this game on, so I watched the back-to-back. It was Bucks Spurs, which was a great game as well, and then Nuggets Warriors. I was watching, and it was about middle of the third when I got off the plane, and it was a blowout. The Warriors looked good. I think even I was like checking my phone, like even in the fourth quarter they were up by 16. And I got back and I was like, oh, it's the game. The game's over. The game's over. And then I look back at my phone. I get the Sports Center notification that Nikola Jokic hit a 39-footer off glass to win the game for the Denver Nuggets, which was amazing. So then I sat back down and I rewatched the game. I repented and I really got to it, But
well, nothing wrong with that. What a game it was. Jokic 34, 10, and 9. Aaron Gordon 30 and 9. Comeback in the fourth quarter. The Warriors obviously going up 13, like you said, in the fourth. Steph Curry 30 points, 6 assists. Klay Thompson 24 points. Kuminga hits the entire fourth after 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Steve Kerr's kind of tweaking his rotations, trying to figure it out. Starting on the Denver Nuggets side, what is your opinion on Nikola Jokic getting less shots? It seems like in the bigger games, people are making jokes that he is the opposite of Joel Embiid because Joel Embiid supposedly doesn't show up in the big games. Nikola Jokic shows up in the big games, and then in the little games, the other night I looked, he had 7.6 rebounds and 16 assists, or 9 rebounds, 16 assists. It's just absurd. So why is he having 7 shots versus Charlotte, 16 versus Golden State, 19 versus Orlando, and then Memphis 11 shots? Like what is this trend?
I mean, I don't think it's a good look. I think you want your best player to be shooting the ball more, but he has compensated by making almost all of his shots. He's shooting in the games that you mentioned. I think he's shooting over 75% from the field. And he recently, I think he just took 3 shots against the Detroit Pistons, and had like 7 or 8 points, and then he ended up having 16 assists. And so I think with Jokic, he can affect the game in other ways. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands, but I think you want him to be looking about like anywhere from 15 to 20 shots a game is something that Nikola Jokic should be getting game in and game out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I respect it. Like, as a competitor, it's a long freaking season. Like, there's a lot going on, and so every night, he doesn't always want to affect the game and the scoring. Which, I mean, if he's only going to shoot 4 shots and make 3 of 4, but then have 16 assists and 9 rebounds or whatever it was, like that's still absurd. Like, he still was like a plus 20 something um, in during that game. So, I mean, I guess it just kind of depends. But like you said, it's definitely not the best look. But I mean, as a guy who it's a long season, he's an MVP candidate. I just don't think it's a terrible look that he's. If it was like 7 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, then I think it'd be more concerning. But the fact that he's still putting up absurd numbers is just, I don't think it's something to be totally worried about. But on the other side, the Warriors, like we mentioned, Steve Kerr has been trying to tweak his rotation to find the right minutes for the guys. Kuminga had come out. His agent had said that he was a little frustrated about his minute distribution. Moses Moody. What do you think the Warriors need to do moving forward with their lineup?
Yeah, I think they've been able to find some really really good pieces, um, in the draft just this last year. I think Trace Jackson Davis and Brandon Pajemski have been hidden gems that have been contributing to the Warriors, and I think specifically for Trace Jackson Davis, I'd like to see him get more minutes. I think he's a more versatile five than Kevon Looney, and I'd like to see him get some more minutes instead of like Looney and Draymond filling those 5 minutes. And then yeah, I think Kaminga played amazing in this game against the Nuggets, and he pulled them in the fourth quarter, and things kind of fell apart. He's just a very versatile wing that can defend and he's scoring the ball really well. So I mean, if I was Jonathan Kaminga, I think I'd be frustrated as well. But I'd like to see Steve Kerr maybe go back and look at the rotation a little bit and get those younger guys some minutes.
Yeah, and Draymond Green just announced that he's over his suspension. How does he factor into the Warriors once he's cleared up to game speed with the Warriors personnel?
Well, I mean, I think he just brings what he's always brought, which is just defensive tenacity. Um, I think that's what he does best. He really gets into people. He anchors the defense, and he is a really good communicator. And I think that's an underrated thing that teams maybe overlook, is just having a really good person on the back line that's calling out coverages and everything for their players. So I think that will be a big boost. But yeah, I think the Warriors have been playing well. They weren't a little low, and obviously lost this game, but I think they've been playing better. And I think with Draymond coming back, hopefully that pushes them in the right direction.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of rumors regarding the Warriors and their lead up to the trade deadline. I want to hear your opinion. Do the Warriors make a move? There's a lot of speculation out there. Do they make a trade before the trade deadline? Yes or no?
I I mean, I think for them internally, I think they would like to make a trade, but right now I don't know exactly who they'd go get, who's available, and if there's really a player on the trade market that would come in and really make a big difference for them. I think right now at this point, it's kind of like there aren't too many people outside, looking to get traded who I think would fit well with the Warriors. And so I think for now, I think you have to look internally and say, hey, this is who we're with for the rest of the year. I don't see a big trade going down, but I could be wrong. We'll see come February.
What do you think the Warriors are missing? I mean, I've seen a lot of things. They're missing a solid post. They're missing a big wing, a scoring wing, or a scoring guard. I've read all these things. In your opinion, where is there room to grow on the Warriors?
Yeah, in my opinion, it's the wing. It has to be the wing because, I mean, they've had players like Andre Iguodala and Andrew Wiggins stepped up a few years ago, and like that was the wing is such a versatile position that every championship winning team has to have a really good wing that plays really good defense and is at least a good slasher scorer that can get some points. So I think that's why I really would like Jonathan Kuminga to get more minutes because I think he's not fully there yet, but I think that's something that he can grow into. Just because Andrew Wiggins has really fallen off this year and really isn't doing what he was doing for them when they won the championship. But I think Andrew Wiggins was the reason that they won that championship because he stepped up.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens on the Warriors front. We'll see if a trade happens and if they make any moves. But that brings us to our upcoming game of the week. Who is it?
We got Lakers here in Utah versus the Jazz.
Nice.
This Saturday, January 13th. So we have two different sides right now. The Jazz have been really hot. I think won 11 of 15. I think they're one game back of the 10 seed if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers are in an opposite position where they've lost 10 of 15. They just had big wins over the Clippers and the Raptors, like we talked about. And so I know it's still early in the season, but do you think that, this could have potential playoff play-in implications further down the line?
I think it says a lot about both teams based on how this game goes. Like we had talked about, they actually have at least the same record as of today or last night. But I think, like you said, both teams are trending in opposite directions. The Jazz were one of the worst three teams in the West before their run, and now that they're almost to a play-in game, they're almost to 500, which they were well below 500 before, and now the Lakers have kind of gone the other way. Yeah, I think it does. Obviously, it's not. It's the playoffs are still so far out that a lot could happen, but I think this kind of puts into perspective this game, depending on what happens, a lot. Like if the Jazz win, I think it shows that they are still moving in the right direction. And the Jazz owe their 2024 first-round pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder, unless it's top 10 protected. With this season being this offseason, it's not a particularly loaded draft. The Jazz would like to convey that pick this year instead of the Cameron Boozer, Cooper Flagg draft in 2025. So I think they're pushing to not be one of the bottom 10 teams in the lottery because I think they'd like to convey that pick. And so I think them winning puts them on track for that because they have so many picks in the future that if they convey this one now, they're just stacked for the future, right? A win for the Lakers is big because it shows that they can beat teams that are capable and are winning right now, which the Clippers was a big win for them as well, and the Raptors. But a loss, I think, for the Lakers is more telling because I think then the Lakers have to make a decision because the Lakers and Jazz have been linked about trade talks because the Jazz have been linked with trade talks with everyone because they supposedly, they're a rebuilding franchise and they have a bunch of picks, so they might shift off of their veterans and stuff. But I think the Lakers might become a little bit in panic mode if they lose, which when teams get in panic mode, especially with teams that have such high expectations like the Lakers have because they've won championships recently, they make moves. They want to make moves. They want to use up the good years that LeBron has left. We don't know how long. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers continue on their trajectory if they start dealing people because I don't think Jeannie Buss and the front office and LeBron are on this, we're going to, rebuild this offseason. I think they want to win now with AD and LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't think your timeline is 2 or 3 years out. It's right now. So I just think the Lakers, it's so important for them to start winning games or making moves. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Did I hit it on the head, or was I
Uh,
too far off there?
no, I think you hit it on the head. I think, yeah, if things keep going in this direction, by the trade deadline, the Lakers are for sure gonna make a trade, even if I think it might be a panic trade. I don't know how
I
helpful
agree.
it will be, because I do think that they have good pieces. I think there can be a few things that they can do. I think Christian Wood has played really well. I think Max Christie needs to get more minutes. I think I think Torian Prince has been really good for them. And like Rui Hachimura has been hurt, Gabe Vincent's been hurt. So like I think if they were to blow it up and make a big trade, I think that would be a mistake because I think they do have good pieces that they can work with. But
Oh, for
it's
sure.
win now. It's win now,
It
and then
is.
they're
It
probably
is.
going to freak out.
It's hard because like a lot of those guys that you listed, I actually was doing like trade simulators the other day, and I was looking at the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers on who they have to deal, and it's hard because a lot of those guys are first year guys, right? Because they just signed them this
Yeah,
offseason. And we had talked about how deep their bench is, and I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, man, how are these guys 18 and 20 or whatever they were the other day? But
yeah,
it's just one of those things that, like you said, injuries and then not playing with each other, not having the continuity. It's just those things hurt you. And the Lakers are known, like you said, to make rash decisions when things aren't going well. And I
mm-hmm.
would not be shocked if things keep trending down. If there is either an overpay, they're kind of limited on cap space, but or them just trying to make a quick change, like you said, that won't have a huge impact. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Lakers are a fun one to watch. You enjoy
yeah,
watching them. I don't, but we're moving on.
yeah. All right. Well, we're moving on to another team, a very exciting team in the Miami Heat, who I think are currently tied for fourth in the West, um, despite having big injuries to Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry. Um, so why have the Miami Heat been able to be so consistent despite having their best players out?
Well, when you have guys like Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and arguably one of the best rookies in the NBA in Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Kevin Love stepping up, I don't think it's a big fall off. Like, I think all those guys that I just named are starters on a lot of organizations. Maybe Kevin Love, obviously off the bench, but Jaime Jaquez, I'm sure every other NBA team would love to have him. Tyler Hero, same. Bam, same. So, I mean, despite, Jimmy Butler, their, glue guy and the guy that they run off of being out, and Caleb Martin and Kyle Lowry, they have these other dudes that are good players that can really hoop. And they've had some other guys off the bench step up as well. But, man, Miami Heat are solid. And it just seems like it's going to keep moving forward. Eric Spoelstra just got signed to a monster contract, most ever guaranteed for a
Yeah,
coach. Right after his divorce, so she doesn't get to see any of that money apparently. But I just think it's just a crazy thing that the Miami Heat just year after year find ways to build up guys. The Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez. They just have that, like they said, it's the Heat culture, but they're just finding ways to be a contender and relevant year after year after year. It seems like so. What's your opinion on the Miami Heat and how they played?
yeah. I think yeah, I think another thing that you could talk about is, I mean, the Miami Heat. They play zone more than any other team in the NBA. I was watching them play the Lakers, who they cooked. The Lakers were playing terrible, but they just kept going to this zone, and I don't know. I see other teams go zone and people break it really quick, but something about the Heat zone is just elite. Um, but yeah, I guess that's another thing that you can point to when you talk about the Miami Heat is the defense that they play. It just keeps you guessing. I mean, it's hard when you're getting a consistent diet of just different coverages. It's like it's pretty hard, get in a rhythm when you come down one possession, you got man to man, you have like they're sending the double to trap, you're big, whatever. And then the next possession down, you got to play zone. And then the next possession, they're playing straight up. And so it's really hard to get into a rhythm when you're seeing so many different coverages. And I think you can attribute that also to Eric Spoelstra and probably why he's, yeah, having the richest coaching contract in NBA history at $120 million.
Yeah, for sure. everyone, I mean, like players who've played for him, players who've coached against him or played against him, they all like attribute him and say it's all well-deserved money. He's one of the most respected coaches around the league. And depending on how much longer he'll go down, probably is one of the best coaches of all time.
For sure.
I just think it's well deserved, obviously, like you said, and there's a reason that they keep playing well year in and year out. And so, yeah, the Heat are definitely a team to watch, especially in the East with all these other teams. Yeah. Speaking of another Eastern team playing well, that brings us to our random news: the Orlando Magic. They plan to retire Shaq's number 32 this February against Oklahoma City Thunder, and it will be the first Orlando Magic jersey to be retired. Was it warranted or not? Should there have been maybe another name up there before him?
No, it's a great question. It's a great question. You've had really good players come through Orlando. But I guess there hasn't been a really good player that's like stayed for an extended period of time. And even with Shaq only played there for 4 seasons and was absolutely dominant. He was drafted there in 1992. But yeah, I guess you haven't had a star there that's really stayed for long enough to, I guess, warrant a retired jersey. And I think Shaq's very retiring. I mean, some of the craziest highlights you'll ever see is Orlando Shaq.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of the best all time. But 4 seasons just seems pretty small to me to be playing for a organization and get your jersey retired. Like, give it to my boy Hito Turkoglu before, like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Orlando Magic, good on them, good on Shaq. I mean, he did great things while he was there. That was a different Shaq than you saw at other places, because that was like a thinner Shaq that could move like a freaking wing. That dude was crazy in Orlando. That was before he buffed up. He was still big, but man, he could move.
Yeah, he was like 290 instead of like 3. I think with the Lakers he got up to almost like 400 something. He was huge. Yeah, he was just athletic like crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I guess moving on, we wanna end with our dish and switch draft. And today it's Trevor's turn, and we are drafting the top 5 under the radar stars. So these are your players that people maybe don't talk about enough, that are just absolute buckets that people should talk more about. So, Trevor, to you.
Yeah, I mean, I might name some guys that you're like, that players talk about, at least in my circles, and I read a lot of stuff. These are guys that I think are under the radar for what they provide, for sure. So I think the number one, and he was kind of named pretty boldly last night in that press conference when they said Scotty Barnes is going to be the face of the league. But
No.
I do think he's kind of under the radar. I don't think before that he had been mentioned much, despite on what he's doing. But he's my number one. I think he's putting up insane numbers. He's definitely, I don't think he's the face of the league's future, but I think he will be one of the better players here for the years to come. Number 2, I'm kind of going out of one of my favorite players to watch nowadays, and I think he's super underappreciated. Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic. This dude is putting up like 19 or 20 a game on a very good Orlando Magic team that's playing really good basketball. So I was going to put Paolo, but I think he's more appreciated than Franz is, and I think Franz is having more impressive to me because I didn't see it coming. At number 3, I have an Oklahoma City product, Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is on here for me because, 1, I think Jalen Williams is a great player, but 2, he is kind of the piece moving forward, other than Shea and Chet, that is going to be the man. If Shea somehow ever gets dealt or starts to decline, Jalen Williams is going to be the man. Like he's a scorer. He's putting up 18, 19 a game. This dude can play some serious basketball, and that's why I'm hoping he gets sent to the Jazz someday. But moving on, number 4, a player who's playing really good despite injuries on the Chicago Bulls and has played really well in Zach LaVine's absence is Kobe White. He's putting up great numbers. I think it was 17 I read. great numbers. He's playing really good basketball on a Bulls team that obviously isn't great, but has stepped up in a big time way with, the superstars not wanting to step up in the way that they should. And number 5, a guy for me that had a lot of hype around him, doesn't play for a great team, but I didn't realize that he was putting up these kind of numbers, is Jeremy Grant, averaging almost 22 points a game. And I think it was like 6 rebounds or 7 rebounds. Just absurd stats, and affects the game in big ways. He's definitely not a number 1 on a team, but I think he's a very high-end number 2 or 3 on a championship team. So there it is. Scotty Barnes, Franz Wagner, Jalen Williams, Kobe White, and Jeremy Grant are my top 5 under-the-radar stars, at least for me. So what do you think?
Yeah. No, I like it. I really do like it. I think those are definitely some of the people that I have on my list. I don't know. There's so many players you could talk about, but I think those are good ones, especially Jalen Williams. I'm a big Jalen Williams fan. I think he's nice. He's nice.
He's so quiet too. Like, I feel like he just doesn't make like if you watched him play, like, you'd be like, oh, that's Jalen Williams. Like, oh yeah, that guy's good. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say much. He's a good freaking player. He lets his game do his talking, out of good old Santa Clara. So we'll see. Jalen Williams.
We will see.
The GOAT.
We will see.
The GOAT, Jalen Williams. So what do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, I suck at embroidering, but I finally got one that looks semi decent. I finally got the design to go through. So
nice.
So I want it to look good. So I'm being a little nitpicky, but there is progress going on. I haven't forgotten about what we've promised. But it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would.
It's kind of crazy. Amadeus actually went to Arizona and then New Orleans and then Mexico to find out about how to embroider. And finally, after he got home, he picked up some stuff. So he's been all around the world. It wasn't for him going out with all his friends. No. It was actually for the embroidering. Had nothing to do with the friends and fun of each place.
I was collecting the infinity stones of embroidery in each of those places.
I was a little upset at you because I was ready for you to come hoop with me again, and you were gone.
I know. I know. We'll hit it again. We need to get back. Trust and I are a dynamic duo.
Yeah, we kind of run it. We kind of we're running like 6-7 games straight. So Amadeus was just kind of cooking. I was shocked. Alma was kind of just like cashing out. I thought Alma was going to be like a driver. No, this dude was pulling up, bang, sidestep, bang, Jalen Williams, bang.
I'm not as athletic as I used to be, so we have to rely on the 3-ball a little bit more.
And if you're me, that's all you rely on. So
we
roll, baby. We roll.
We live and die with it.
We do. We're shooting 50 of those a game. We hope they go in. They go in. But
we love that.
We are the Dish and Swish podcast. We will be back with you guys soon. Have a good week.
Have a good one.